pretty familiar with the print version of the Columbian, and there's no doubt that the print version of the Columbian is kind of the centerpiece of our traditional business. But I want to talk for just a second about the three businesses that are encompassed in the Columbian, because there really are, if you think about it, three kind of different but interrelated businesses. The key business is our journalism, and that is that is part of what the founding fathers thought was pretty important for the functioning of a democracy in a community and in a nation. And so, Lou Brancaccio, would you stand up for a moment, please? You're out there somewhere. He's over there. So Lou leads the largest newsroom in the southern half of the state of Washington, and our news staff is recognized regularly by the Society of Professional Journalists. We normally take 20 to 30 awards in that annual competition, outstripping the whole 5-state region by about 10. And we've had a pretty good run with that. So that is the kind of the benchmark that our industry uses to gauge in a quantitative way what is coming out of the newsrooms around the 5-state region. Our news staff is fluent in print, in Twitter, in Facebook, in blogging and video. I mean, they have had to learn how to produce journalism on multiple fronts, and there's a lot of diversification going on in that field. We'll continue to do that. So can I get everyone on the news staff to stand? I'm not sure exactly how many reporters and news folks we have here right now. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Welcome. Another key component of our company and kind of the second business module is our advertising and marketing division. You know, if you happen to see the Thanksgiving Columbian, did you see that? I mean, it is a monster pile of business. In fact, if you shake all the ads out, the paper's, you know, less than the ads. But if you look at our roster of business, it includes all of the national and regional players in retailing in our community. So these are businesses that don't have to do business with us, but they do. And the reason they do is because it works. And so we very much value the trust that they place in us. But when you look at our roster of businesses, the locally owned and operated businesses is one we have a special place in our heart for, because they're so critical to a vital community, a business community. So the staff in the advertising department is amazing. They are a highly professional staff that are trained in media and marketing. We hire them specifically to do this job, and they spend their time basically coaching and advising thousands of businesses in our community on how to use advertising dollars to reach their customers and develop new customers. And so could I ask the advertising folks, people, could you stand up? I know you're out there somewhere. Okay, everybody? Not going to introduce you specifically. This group is led by our advertising director, Teresa Keplinger. Teresa, thank you. So if you haven't talked to one of these folks recently, I'd suggest you do, because I think that they can tell you a lot about how media has changed in our community and what some of the different and new effective ways of reaching customers are. And if you haven't heard of programmatic advertising, this is part of the Sprout Digital Advertising Agency that we have in-house that's run by Ben Campbell. So this is something that is a new offering of the Columbian and is a digital way to be very effective and efficient with your advertising dollars. The third big component of our company is the distribution business. So when you think of distribution businesses, you probably think of FedEx or UPS or the United States Postal Service. But the Columbian runs a pretty significant distribution business. Basically, we have 200 delivery contractors that go past almost every single porch in our community from border to border every single day, 365 days a year. And what are they delivering? Well, of the Columbian print version, of course. but there's been diversification in that business unit too. We also deliver USA Today, the New York Times, the Oregonian, the Wall Street Journal, and about 5 other publications, including Investors Business Daily and some others. So leading this division is Mark Daly, who heads our press and production and distribution business. Mark, would you stand up? Mark's been with us for 30 years. The Columbian has 220 dedicated employees who take their jobs very seriously. We're on deadline every day, and we don't have a lot of time to, sit around, and we've got to be pretty focused to get this job done every day. So we tend to look pretty busy. 2 individuals two of our people most responsible for planning this event today are Audrey Bomar, Community Partnerships Manager, and Gordon Oliver, Business Editor. So if I missed a Colombian person here, we have people from all departments here. Anybody else here that didn't stand up before? Okay, I think hopefully we got everybody there. So rather than keep track of all the elected officials who come and go, we want to do a mass opportunity to have elected officials and their representatives stand and be acknowledged. Give you an applause. Congratulations. Thank you. Here we go. Great. So this is the largest economic forecast event in the region, and it's made possible by support from our presenting sponsor for the 4th consecutive year, Riverview Community Bank. And our other key sponsors, the Management Group, Berger ABAM, and PeaceHealth. And we also have 2 key in-kind sponsors. That would be the Vancouver Chamber of Commerce and the Columbia River Economic Development Council. So some housekeeping in preparation for later today. Again, this year we have scheduled 1 breakout session instead of 2. This worked pretty well last year, and it seemed like it was very popular. It helps people get back to work sooner. And now that we're doing video recording of each of the sessions, you can go back to the ones you weren't able to attend and actually watch those online. Those will be posted within 48 hours, more or less. Some will be posted as soon as 24 hours. But that's a great mechanism. You can go to Columbian.com and watch those videos and kind of do it in your sweatpants at your own leisure. If you take a look at the inside cover of the Columbian's 2016 Economic Forecast Special Section, and it's on your table, you'll see a list of the panelists for the 4 breakout sessions. The special section also has essays that they have produced with some of their opinions on what you should expect to see in the economy during the coming months and beyond. You can be a part of the questioning process. If you have a question, even right now, and you want to submit this to the Keynote panel, which is going to happen next, there are pens and paper at your table. If you write something on one of those and then hold it up, our people are watching for that, and they'll come and grab that from you, and they'll present it to the moderator of the next session. So now I'd like to focus a little bit on our presenting sponsor, a locally owned business that's, and it basically is a mom-and-pop business at this point as well, that has been serving Clark County for more than 90 years, and is the only remaining community bank headquartered in Southwest Washington, and of course that is Riverview Community Bank. They have a long history of community involvement and investment. Riverview is everywhere. They support everything, pretty much. I mean, they are very engaged in the community, both personally and as far as making contributions when it counts for different organizations. Kim has worked for community banks personally. He's worked for community banks and larger regional banks, and he's also worked for organizations like the Greater Vancouver Chamber of Commerce. He works for he belongs to numerous community organizations and serves on several boards, including Identity Clark County, the school of Piano Technology for the Blind, Junior Achievement, Fort Vancouver National Trust, and the Humane Society, and I had to cut it off at 6, or however many I just read, because we don't have time to go through all the other things he's doing. So we very much appreciate Riverview's support. I'd like to have you come up just for a minute and say a few words.
Good morning. Well, first of all, we're very excited to be involved with this event yet again, our 4th year of supporting this. And the messages that we heard the first year we started supporting this are dramatically different, I think, than the messages that you will hear today. And so it's been one hell of a ride for the last 4 years. A couple of things. One, the fact that we have almost 650 people here this morning is a testament, I think, to a variety of things. It's a testament to the strong community. It's a testament to the support of the Columbian and the local organizations that are supporting this event. It's also a little testament to the curiosity out there about what is going on in the economy, and that it's clear that this is the only place that you'll really actually find out what is happening in the economy. So, for the other folks that didn't make it, too bad for them. They will be in the dark. You all will have the biggest secrets ever. You'll know exactly what's going to happen in the economy. Share it with them if you'd like. I would charge them $30 for the information, so they're getting a screaming deal by doing that. I do also want to say that Scott asked if folks were here because the economy was good or if because the economy was bad. Folks are here because the economy is good, because when the economy was bad, we couldn't afford the tickets to get here, and so I think that speaks for itself. Also, I want to point out, too, 126 years. Does Scott look great for 126 years or what? I'd also like to point out that clearly he married someone 100 years younger than him if he's 126, so hi, Jody. The theme for this year is embracing change, and we have all had to figure out different ways that our businesses need to run. We can't do things the exact same way as we used to and expect either different outcomes or better outcomes. So we've had no choice in every industry to try and figure out how to morph into what's important to folks today. In banking, for example, we've got internet banking, we've got remote deposit capture. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's the commercial where the two people are laying in bed taking pictures of their checks and making deposits at their bank, which was always somewhat confusing to the majority of us. But we also have mobile banking. More transactions are being done on your phones every single day. We also have some client services departments that, in fact, our client services department, which is a group of 5 people that answer incoming calls, is the single busiest entity with regard to customer service in our entire bank. They handle close to 50,000 transactions per month between them, and that is a convenience factor for our clients. Reality is back in the day, banks were open from 10 to 3 because banks didn't need to be open other times. You'll figure out how to get to the bank. There goes your lunch hour. And that's why we had lines of 150 people between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock on Fridays. People won't put up with that anymore. They want to do business the way they want to do business, not the way that entities want to do business. And so all companies over the years have had to morph into what is necessary to be successful. The term banking hours, by the way, that doesn't exist. So for those of you that still think, I will tell you that I personally, I miss the 10 to 3 days. Those were awesome. They are so gone and we will never see those again. 10 to 3 now is about how long it takes us to get through our daily emails. Other than that, we try and cram the other stuff in. So, you know, the key to a community bank and to a locally owned entity is about supporting the community that you are in. All of our money stays local. We support organizations and nonprofits, many of which are here this morning, by reinvesting some of the dollars that you all entrust with us. So it is important that we continue to thrive as an organization, but we can only do that if you all continue to support the local businesses that are here in Southwest Washington and in our various communities. We have branches from Longview down to Almsville in Oregon, and we go all the way up the gorge to Goldendale. But we're a 93-year-old bank that was founded in Camas, and it is always remained local. We are kind of a mom and pop. We had a little conversation at our table about who the mom and who the pop are, and Pat Schaefer's not here, so Ron Wysowski is the pop today. If Pat was here, he would make me say something different, but we all really know. So don't tell him I said that, by the way. And if you can bleep that out on the film, that'd be great. One of the things that we want, one of the things that I wanted to convey to you all today is, as I look back on my tenure here with Riverview, and as I've followed them for the last decade and a half, this bank is a very resilient bank. The bank doesn't necessarily move at light speed. It's deliberate in what it does, but it has showed some incredible resiliency. We are an incredibly strong institution through capital, through income, through deposit growth, through customer acquisition, and we will plan on continuing to expand those particular bases. For us, it's really important that although we embrace these changes that are coming, they're not a replacement for what we do. Our main thrust is supporting the community, providing very high quality service, and making sure that we are trying to meet the needs of each and every one of you. So the alternative delivery sources that we use are enhancements to what we do, not replacements for what we do, and that's really important. We do a lot in the community, and we are very, very busy, and we are happy to do that. And we partner with many, many of you out here on a daily basis in order to make sure that happens. And we very much appreciate your support of us as well. But the only way we continue to do that is if you continue to support us and help us. If you haven't given us a shot, if you haven't done business with us, give it a try. I think, one, you'd find that our structure and the way that we do business today is different than you might think it is. So give us a shot. Keep your money local, have it work hard, and make sure that you are able to see what it is that your money is doing in the community with the businesses that you support. The other thing that I would like to just say is because we have, over the last 5 years, become a very strong financial institution, periodically I hear, well, gosh, you guys are the only remaining locally owned community bank. That's true. We are. And then the follow-up question always is, well, how long till you're gone? So let me be clear. For those of you that think that we aren't in this for the long haul, you're wrong. We're here to stay, and we want to make sure that each and every one of you know that. And we would like to ask all of you to at least try and do some business with us so that we can continue to support the things that are important for you all. So I want to thank you all for your support. I want to thank Scott and Jody and Ben and the rest of the Campbell family and the Columbian family for allowing us to be involved with this again. And here's to a great day, and have an awesome rest of the week. Thanks.
Foot didn't slow you down at all. Hi, so now I'd like to introduce Mike Bomar, who's the President of the Columbia River Economic Development Council. Mike has served as the President of the CRDC since December 2013. Prior to joining the CRDC, he served as the Executive Director of the Southwest Washington Contractors Association for 3.5 years and spent 6 years with the Building Industry Association of Clark County and their Governmental Affairs Department. Mike serves on a number of boards, as you might imagine, professional nonprofit organizations, including the Washington Economic Development Association, Greater Portland, Inc., where he's on the executive committee, the Clark County Skills Advisory Council, and WCUV Chancellor's Advisory Board. Mike has a master's degree in public affairs from Washington State University, Vancouver, yay, and a bachelor's degree in political science and communications for the University of Washington. Does that make him a Coug or a Husky, or both? Kind of a, okay. So Mike is a longtime local resident and currently resides in Ridgefield with his wife, Audrey Bomar, who you might recognize that name. She helped organize this event, and she works for the Columbian. And so they are busy managing their 2.5 or maybe 2 3/4 children at this point. So Mike.
A little taller than this stand, so I'm going to go ahead and hold on to this thing. Thank you, Scott, and thanks everybody for joining us for our East Coast time brunch this morning. Really appreciate that. Amazing crowd. Thank you all for taking the time to be here this morning. I'm going to lay out our plan for this discussion, but before I do that, I really want to just give a shout out to the Columbian, and I can't say enough about the value of having a local paper and the way that you inform our business community and our citizens at large. It's huge. It's a big deal to have an informed public and to have an engaged public, and just appreciate the work that's done, and particularly the way that you do it. And thank you to the Campbells and to the entire team at the Columbian. All right, so I'd like to invite our esteemed panel up, and while I'm doing that, I just want to note that any one of these panelists would be amazing to be able to hear from, and to have three, that's pretty impressive and phenomenal. So I'm excited. I had some time before the event to spend time with them. Amazing folks, not only for the scale and the impact of their companies, but also for the way that they engage in the community, for taking the time to be here today, for the way they give back, and for the way they help grow our economy. So as they come up and as they get situated, let's get a round of applause for these folks here today. All right, so let's do the game plan here. So once we've heard from each of our speakers, we're going to kick off the panel discussion with some initial questions from me. And before we open that question up then to Q&A from the audience. As Scott mentioned, you're going to find those question cards on your table. And at any point during the event here, just hold those up and someone from the Columbian will grab those for you. And then we'll collect it and we'll ask some questions at the end. So despite having Scott Bailey up here, we do have a great panel this morning, but I'd like to introduce, before we get going, it's kind of like the weather forecast. I think they usually put those at the end because people want to hear that, even though it's going to be inaccurate. And I don't know, the economic forecast, we're going to go first here anyway to see what happens. But it is my esteemed privilege to introduce you today, Scott Bailey, our regional economist from the Washington Employment Security Department. For the past 25 years, Scott Bailey has served as the regional economist for the ESD, Labor Market and Analysis Branch, covering Southwest Washington. He publishes a monthly newsletter, and you should sign up for it, on local economic trends and works closely with the economic development and workforce development organizations in the region. Scott has done extensive research on wages statewide and currently is collaborating with a team from the University of Washington, go Huskies, to access the economic and social impacts of the $15 minimum wage. Scott received his master's degree in economics from Portland State University and is a board member for the Pacific Northwest Regional Economic Conference. Scott will now give us a local economic forecast for the 2016 season as we lead into our keynote panel. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Scott Bailey.
Stand up and walk around. Yeah. Great, I get to stand up and walk around. Are we mic'd in? We good? We're good. Good morning. So this is my actually 26th year, my 26th forecast breakfast. Economists say there's no such thing as a free lunch, and yet this is my 26th free breakfast, courtesy of the Campbell family. Thank you very much. Before I get into the forecast, I want to take a quick look back at 2015. By every metric I have right now, it was a really good year for Clark County. 4% employment growth for the second year in a row. That's a really good number. A big jump in housing permits. Big jump in taxable retail sales. Just everything looked good. What we don't have yet is information on what happened with income and wages. We actually fairly recently got that for 2014. What it showed is that median household income went up. That's good, but it's still about 5% where it below where it was in 2007. Median hourly wages didn't move a penny in 2014. Which meant that we had job growth balanced on both sides of that median. What we did get is an increase in really higher wage jobs on the outside. So we had an increase in wage inequality, which is what we're seeing really all over. I expect, though, that when we get the 2015 numbers in for wages and income, it's going to look a bit better than 2014. So that's sort of the good news. Looking ahead, I'm not a forecaster. I don't have a model. And as Mike was saying, you know, if you give 100 million monkeys a typewriter, one of them is going to type out a sonnet from Shakespeare. If you give 100 million economists a computer with a software package to do forecasting, they're still all going to be wrong. The Columbian already published something from me that was pretty rosy. But frankly, I didn't want to lead with what I really think is going to happen in 2016. And that's, well, a bit more somber. I'm expecting in 2016, you know, there's been considerable instability in China for a number of years. I think 2016 is when China blows, and that's going to drag the rest of the world down into a global depression. I expect financial markets to chaos, frankly, and massive job losses. I also expect a 9.0 earthquake to hit right off of Astoria, both bridges to fall into the Columbia River, an asteroid to hit, and a small group of well-meaning citizens to take over the Fort Vancouver Historic Reserve and demand that it be returned to its rightful owners, Great Britain. So what I really think for 2016, the people who know about these things are saying the global economy will be a bit slower. So that's not good news for our manufacturers, and with the high value of the dollar compared to other currencies, I think that's the one sector that won't do as well as others in the county. Nationally, probably a bit slower than this year, and it wasn't exactly gangbusters this year. It was okay. Statewide, the state forecaster is saying a bit slower growth in Washington. But the Oregon state forecaster is saying pedal to the metal, full speed ahead. And our economy is much more tied to Oregon than it is to the rest of the state of Washington. So I'm looking for another good year in 2016, good employment growth outside of manufacturing, pretty much across the board. That doesn't mean we don't have challenges in this community. I'll leave that there, but I'll just leave on a rosy note, and Dr. Dunne will sit down, and we'll hear from the rest of our panel.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Pass those down. All right. So now let's hear from Greg Goodwin. Greg is CEO of Kuni Automotive. It's a privately held auto retailer operating 15 mostly luxury dealerships in Washington, Oregon, California, Colorado, and Kansas. Its brands include Lexus, Audi, BMW, Land Rover, Porsche, Volkswagen, Honda, Cadillac, and Chevrolet. The company's revenue is approximately $1.5 billion. It has 1,500 employees, including the 70 at Kuni Garage, that's Kuni's Vancouver-based headquarters. The company's largest shareholder is the Wayne D. Kuni and the Joan E. Kuni Foundation. Goodwin joined the company in 1990 and began an extensive acquisition search, which resulted in the purchase of Lexus of Denver. He led the Colorado Lexus dealership from 1991 until 1999, and prior to joining Kuni Automotive, Goodwin led dealerships in Hawaii, in California, before he abandoned those for the better weather right here in the Pacific Northwest. And Goodwin attended the University of California at Santa Cruz. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Greg Goodwin.
You know, I just want to say, Scott, I really appreciate a dry sense of humor. But I am concerned about the 5 people that walked out after those comments about a global depression. So somebody go get them back. Thanks, Mike, and thanks to the Columbian, to Riverview Community Bank, and today's other sponsors, and really appreciate being here. And thanks for allowing me to go first, so I don't have to follow Liz and Bruce. As just a little more detail on Kuni Automotive, Kuni was founded by Wayne Kuni in 1970 with the opening of Kuni Cadillac in Beaverton, Oregon, and he added BMW in 1971. Mike told you about our dealerships. I'll just tell you a little bit more about the ownership of Kuni. As he said, our largest shareholder is the Kuni Foundation, which Wayne and Joan Kuni created shortly before Wayne's death in February 2006. This is, I think, a really unique model in our industry. I get asked about it all the time, and it really does have a major impact, and it's, of course, my privilege to be responsible for that company. The foundation is our largest shareholder. It's contributed millions of dollars to mostly local charities since its founding. The high point in the foundation's giving was reached last year with a $5 million gift to the Night Cancer Challenge, at OHSU. Thank you. That was Clark County's largest donation in the night challenge, so many thanks to the Kuni family. And the opening of Stevens Place last year. Stevens Place is a residential facility for adults with developmental disabilities and autism located right here in Vancouver. It opened last February. The facility was paid for in full by donations from the Kuni Foundation, the Kuni family, and one anonymous donor. A little Kuni data to go with your breakfast, as Mike said. Our revenue is approaching $1.5 billion. We look back to 2012 when we were coming out of the Great Depression. Thanks for planting that seed. The Great Recession. Bring those people back. We were at 860 million. Most importantly, our employee count in the same period, 2012 to 2015, increased from 763 to 1,436. And payroll increased for the total company from 61 million to 95 million. New cars, trucks, and SUVs, a lot of trucks and SUVs, sold in 2012, 9,828, and last year, 15,163. Used car sales went from 9,411 to 15,306. So as Mike said, Kuni's headquarters, which we call the Kuni Garage, located in the Columbia Tech Center. Here we centralize most of our accounting, payroll, banking, IT, real estate development, and so on. We have 92 people on the payroll there. We have about 70, a little bit more than 70 employees in the Kuni Garage who work here locally. Kuni supports many local charities, first as presenting sponsor of the Classic Wines Auction, and in its support of YWCA Clark County, the Community Foundation, Friends of the Children, the Unity Center for Behavioral Health, and Big Brothers Big Sisters Columbia Willamette, among others. You know, the Great Recession showed that vehicle sales in the United States are an important indicator of the health of the overall economy. Housing starts, household formation, the unemployment rate, and consumer confidence provide insight into where the industry is going. In addition, luxury dealers have to also focus on equity markets. Luxury sales usually outperform in a recession, but this was definitely not the case in 2009 and 2010. As the time for today's remarks drew closer, of course, I was preparing against the backdrop of a bearish start for markets in the U.S. and around the world. Oil prices and the Chinese economy, as Scott told us, loom large, as it appears that markets don't believe that our economy can continue to expand even moderately if the rest of the world is headed in the other direction. This has rapidly and severely affected many companies, including automotive manufacturers, their suppliers, and dealers. General Motors is down 11% year-to-date, with Ford down 14.5%. Public auto retailers, which are only about 20 years old in our industry, are faring even worse. When I checked yesterday, Asbury Automotive, the worst performer in our sector, was down about 30% year-to-date. And I'll tell you, I think that sector with about 6 companies in it represents a pretty good buying opportunity. They had bounced about 3% at the end of the day yesterday, so it was a big overreaction, as I think the rest of what's going on with the markets is. Of course, volatile markets can affect the auto market, but I remain optimistic in spite of what Scott said and in spite of what we've witnessed the past couple of weeks. Let us hope that fear doesn't drive fundamentals. And as you know, the theme for this year's breakfast is embracing change. Whenever discussing the subject of change with my senior team, I like to say, embrace change before it embraces you. Our business has faced many challenges since the advent of the internet and all that came along with it. Today, the average new car shopper spends 14 hours doing research on the internet. Just remarkable, and nearly everyone of any age. This simple fact has significantly affected the way Kuni designs dealerships. Our newest dealerships emphasize function, efficiency, and guest amenities much more than showrooms with a large number of vehicles to view. Our flagship dealership is Kuni Lexus of Greenwood Village in Denver. It has received national attention and is still frequently toured by dealership architects and OEMs, some from around the world. If you're interested in seeing it, you can take a virtual tour on our website at CuniLexusofGreenwoodVillage.com. In the roughly 20 years that have passed since the World Wide Web arrived on the scene and changed all of our lives, many technology players have entered the dealership, and a lot of them have stuck around for the long term. We have lead aggregators, research sites, Auto Trader, Edmunds, Kelly Blue Book, Cars.com, CRM software, and so on. And I mean, and so on. The talented people who help us to build our own websites have built their own major companies in the process. My choice from the beginning was to jump on the bus instead of off the bridge. Anything that makes it easier for you, the customer, should be embraced. And if it means our margins come under pressure, and it has, we simply have to adapt. There isn't an alternative. More change has come knocking in the form of significantly increased fuel economy requirements and reduced emission standards from the federal government. Reduced meaning reduce those emissions, of course. From Tesla, with its all-electric vehicles and its disdain of the traditional dealer distribution model. From Uber, from Lyft and Zipcar, with their ride-sharing and non-ownership concepts. Another important area of research and development in the industry comes under the heading of ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. Cars we sell today are equipped with adaptive cruise control, forward collision warning, autonomous emergency braking, lane departure warning, and yes, even traffic sign recognition. These technologies received a lot of attention at the recent Consumer Electronics Show, and they are just the beginning. In fact, a high-level Audi executive recently told me that he believes in the relative near future, drivers will find it strange that people used to be injured or killed in automobiles. This exciting future is closer than you think. Lloyd's of London held a conference among major insurers a couple of years ago to consider the fact that in the future, cars will simply not be involved in accidents. What will the Geico Gecko do for a living then? The new frontier of fully autonomous vehicles is being aggressively pursued by Apple, Google, and every automotive company on the planet, including Tesla. The goal is to produce a vehicle that requires no input or supervision from the driver, and you're all too distracted anyway. That's the so-called level 4 technology that you may have heard about. We don't yet have level 3, where the driver can turn over control of the car even temporarily, although Tesla is pretty close. A few months ago, I went around a challenging racetrack in an autonomous, fully autonomous Audi A7. Many have asked me if I was nervous. We were going 135 miles per hour, and my answer is no. I believe that level 4 is closer than we think. The regulatory framework will likely take more time than the technology. The auto industry has changed significantly in the past few years, with the excitement all about what is inside the car, as much or more than what is outside. The next few years will produce even more compelling reasons to upgrade your ride, and many of the innovations we will witness will change our lives for the better. Thanks to all of you for attending today and for your interest, and I look forward to hearing your questions in a little while. Thank you.
I
forgot all about my slides.
Thanks, Greg. Bruce Cazenave is Chief Executive Officer of Nautilus, Inc. It's a Vancouver-based global fitness company with approximately $274 million in annual revenue in 2014. Cazenave was appointed CEO and elected to the company's board in May of 2011. His more than 20 years of senior executive leadership and management of global consumer products companies focused on profitable growth industries, and he worked for Central Garden and Pet Company, Timex Corporation, Dorel Industries, Black & Decker, and Timberland. Cazenave is a graduate of Johns Hopkins University and earned a master's degree from George Washington University. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Bruce Cazenave.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike, I think we have a couple of slides. Let's see, here we go. So I'm going to go to the right. Just a couple of overview slides. Okay. Those of you that don't know us, we're on the east side of Vancouver, and we've been here in the Vancouver area for many, many years under different names. But we're Nautilus Inc., and you might know us under the brands that you see on this slide. Our biggest brand is Bowflex, also Nautilus. We just recently bought the brand that's in the middle 2 weeks ago, a brand called Octane Fitness. They're based out of Minneapolis. Some of you may have their products. I know Greg and his wife, Michelle, do in their home. We also own Schwinn for fitness equipment and Universal. So 5 brands that all mean something different to the consumer, and we use them very differently. Our history is, in the last 5 years, is, in terms of operating performance, is significantly improved. You can see where we started here, a little under 170 million back in 2011 when I joined the company, and now we just posted our preliminary earnings for 2015, and we were right around 330, almost $340 million. And most importantly is the profitability. We are a public company, so improved operating performance and earnings per share are very important. So you can see our pre-tax income has actually almost doubled every year in the last 5 years. We have facilities. I don't know if you can see this very well, but our folks are all around the world. With the result of the acquisition of Octane, we have a significant presence in Europe, and we've always had a significant presence in Southeast Asia as well. Most of our employees are based in Vancouver. We also have a presence in Portland with a warehouse, and throughout the United States, mostly sales office, and now an office in Minneapolis as well. And finally, the thing that I'm probably most proud of, and I would call it, not to play off on Greg's business, but the oil in our engine is our culture. And we do a lot, we feel, particularly more in the last 3-4 years as we've gotten our feet under us again as a company, contributing back to the community in what we call Nautilus Cares. And it's just a great environment, and our culture is we're very protective of it. And we think it's basically one of our secret sauce in terms of why our business is able to do what we're able to do. Okay, so that's it for a little bit of an overview. Embracing change is a big deal for Nautilus, and as you might know, those of you that have been following us for a while, the company ran into a lot of issues back in the recession in 2007. And essentially, the company went from quite a bit larger, even than it is today, had to lay off about over 1,000 people throughout factories in the U.S. And so went from 1,700 employees down to 330 by the time I joined in 2011, divesting businesses. And in most cases, you'd find that companies that have been through that kind of experience, that kind of downturn and difficulty and losing $90 million in a short matter of 3 years back then, that the heads would be down, employees would be down, kind of demoralized. What I found when I was interviewing with the company and got to know a lot of the people, the board, et cetera, is that everybody was really charged up and really wanted to succeed. And there was a tremendous resilience in what they'd been through with those 330 employees that remained. And that was really special. That was unlike any of the other companies I'd been with, Durrell Industries or Timberland. People's heads were down, and we got them back up. But it sometimes took 2 years. So that's kind of a nice thing to start with, and it's really something that we build upon. What I'm going to talk about today is really 2 things in terms of adapting to change. One is as it relates to product innovation and how we have adapted that and actually use new technologies to drive our innovation machine, which has helped us to deliver the operating performance that you saw. The second thing is what I would call, and probably unique, you might not hear this, is it's how we do what we do and changing the way we did things pretty dramatically from where we were 5 years ago. First, on the technology front, a lot of new technology coming out in terms of Bluetooth and so forth. We did a lot of work in both product development, the way that customers access us, okay, in terms of interfacing with us and looking for information on our products or our company or our brands, as well as how we interact with them. In terms of product development, there was a lot of work from what we call the neck up in terms of technology. We were very good from the neck down, quality, smoothness of any of our bikes, ellipticals, et cetera, but we were not really good from the neck up. Connectivity, ability to track, no matter where you are in your fitness journey, ability to basically take a look at and say, I want to go into my Apple Health Kit, I want to go into Google Fit, I want to go to MyFitnessPal and track my improvements. That's all capabilities we brought to the marketplace about 3 years ago, and it's really worked out well for us. How consumers interact with us. You know, as recently as 4 years ago, people weren't doing a whole lot in terms of buying at least our products on mobile, because they are $2,000 or $3,000 typically a ticket to buy. Today, you would be amazed. You know, I'd say it's public information. Over 20% of our purchases are made on a phone, where you can't even go to a retail outlet and find our product. You're actually going on a phone or your iPad in a mobile environment, and you're buying a $2,000 or $3,000, sometimes $4,000 piece of equipment sight unseen. Think about that for a second, okay? Secondly and thirdly is the way that we interact with people. It's becoming more complex in terms of how do you interact with people in the marketplace because of all these mediums, social media, mobile, TV's changing, okay? Not many people watching TV anymore in its traditional form, okay? So we had to adapt to all that, and creating a consistent message through all those mediums is quite difficult. But that's what we've been able to do, and I think it's helped us pay off in the marketplace today. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and this is probably one of the things I'm most proud about, is changing the way we do what we do. I know that sounds like a little bit of a tongue twister, but I'll give you some examples of what that means. It means encouraging our associates to try new ways of doing things, whether it's innovate faster, better, do things faster, take out time, take out costs, service our customers better. Any of those kinds of things, bring ideas forward. If they work, we'll put them in place. If they work or maybe don't work, but then there's an off-ramp to go in to do something else. But the idea is to keep trying things. So it's not just innovation in terms of product. It's innovation in terms of your processes and how you do what you do. Example, and I'll go through this quickly. 5 years ago, the company was basically, of course, it was capital constrained at that time, you know, losing $10 million in 2010. So they wanted the bases loaded home run on every product. Okay, we're not going to do that unless we can ensure that it's going to be $200, $300 million product. Well, now we're doing singles, we're doing doubles, and guess what? Doubles turn into triples. 4 years ago, it was TV ads. You might think of us, in fact, Bowflex, 30-minute commercials, at 2 or 3 in the morning. Okay, think about who you're attracting with that. Nowadays, you go on, in fact, this morning, if you go back at Good Morning America, will be a 30-second commercial on our tread climber on Good Morning America. 1 or 2 minute ads on ESPN, HGTV. Totally different a way of marketing our company and our brands. 3 years ago, it was people don't have time. People don't have time to spend, go get in the car, go to the gym, or go down in your basement, work out for an hour. What can we do so you get a full workout in 15 minutes or 14 minutes? We introduced the Max Trainer 2 years as one of the most successful products in the fitness industry. I encourage you to try it. It's called Bowflex Max Trainer. Okay? Some of you in the audience have one, I know already. 2 years ago, it was like, why aren't we doing business in China? China's huge. Increasing, discretionary income, domestic consumption going on, middle class going on. They have pollution. There are a lot of obstacles in doing business in China. I will tell you, it is slow, it is hard. You have to be persistent and so forth. Today, we are selling product in Shanghai, in retail, in Beijing, and we're also doing direct-to-consumer, where you can go on, you can see somebody, a Chinese gentleman, lifting a Select-Tech dumbbells and buy online, and we'll ship it to your home. That's the kind of thing in terms of changing the way we do business. 1 year ago, it was like, how do we access people that are not able to find our products at retail? Okay, because we're direct to consumer. We're shipping anywhere in the US and Canada in your home in 3 days or less. Okay, but you can't go find it at a Dick's or a Sports Authority or whatever. So we said, let's go out and put our products in the marketplace. So this fall, we were doing the Blazer games. If you've gone to a Blazer game recently, you probably saw Bowflex Max Trainer being demoed, okay, on the big Jumbotron thing. You might have, if you've gone to a Big Ten, I know people maybe in here aren't Big Ten or SEC fans in terms of football. We were in tailgates, 12 tailgate parties, getting demos and getting people a chance to get on a Max Trainer and try it and so forth. All different ways of accessing to consumers. That's what it's all about in terms of changing the way you do things and doing things differently versus what you were doing before. So my message is simple in terms of adapting for you all. Take it or leave it. You can lead the change in terms of products, services, but also think about your business model, how you do what you do. I'd like to leave you with a few final thoughts, and that is, number one is don't underestimate the speed and the magnitude of change that's coming. Think about the fact that the largest media company creates no content. The largest taxi company in the world has no taxis. And the largest accommodations provider in the world owns no real estate. Okay? Think about that and what that was like maybe 5 years ago or even 3 years ago. So that's what you have to be careful of, the speed and the change at which things are happening. Number two is step into the change instead of resisting it. Push your teams to try new things and embrace the feeling of discomfort. That might sound, I don't know about that. But I'm telling you, it works, okay? Use the philosophy that we've adopted. I'm not sure it'll work for everybody, but I'll tell you it worked for us. Fail fast, but be able to recover quickly. So try things. If they don't work, get off the off-ramp and try something else. That's the spirit of what we're trying to do. Beware that success, number three, can breed complacency. You know, we just won the number 23 in the Fortune 100 fastest growing companies over the last 3 years in terms of shareholder return and revenue growth. Okay, it's easy to sit back and be, you know, listen to that and read the press. No offense to the Brooks and Gordons of the world in terms of the business press, but you cannot get enamored with what people say about you. You have to stay the course. And that's the time to basically kind of refocus, rededicate, and think about a fresh view of what's possible for the next level of growth. That's what I would encourage you to do. If you are successful today, then don't get complacent in terms of that success and reading your own press. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone in this community because it's been great. I'm not from the Northwest. I moved out here it'll be 5 years in May, and lived all over the world, all over the U.S., Europe, and South America, et cetera. And I've never been anywhere where the business community is as strong and supportive and welcoming as you all are here. And I think it's really a tribute to everybody, and including everybody that's come here this morning. You all are great in terms of the camaraderie, and I just want to thank you for your support as we've rebuilt our company over the last 5 years. Thank you.
Just a quick reminder again, the cards are on your table. Anytime during this, feel free to raise your hand with a card and question. We'll get those in the Q&A section. Liz Dunne is President and Chief Executive Officer of PeaceHealth. It's a $2.4 billion health system headquartered right here in Vancouver. Dunne is responsible for all operations of not-for-profit Catholic health system, which employs 16,000 in Washington, Oregon, and Alaska. PeaceHealth Southwest Washington Medical Center is among the 10 hospitals that are part of the PeaceHealth system. Dunne previously served as Community Chief Executive Officer for Providence Health System Services in South Bay, California. After 10 years on active duty, Dunne served 10 years in the United States Air Force Reserves, thank you very much, retiring as Lieutenant Colonel. Absolutely. She holds a master's degree in business and computer resource management from Webster University in St. Louis, and Dunne also holds a bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics from Queens College in New York and is a registered dietitian. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Liz Dunne.
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here along with Bruce and Greg. But before I start, I'd like to give a shout out to my PeaceHealth team that are here today. So thank you, guys. When I think about our topic of innovation, healthcare fits right in. I'm reminded of our PeaceHealth rich heritage. Mother Joseph, who was a sister of Providence, founded the first hospital in the state of Washington, here in Vancouver, Washington, which is now PeaceHealth Southwest Washington Medical Center. Mother Joseph, along with the Sisters of St. Joseph, were a catalyst of change in America, building hospitals, schools, orphanages. These forward-thinking women helped others realize that the key to strengthening a community is to improve the health and wellness of everyone. 125 years ago, the two founding sisters of PeaceHealth, Sister Moran and Stanislaus, came to the Pacific Northwest with just a few dollars in their pocket and a simple mission: to meet the healthcare needs of the community. Today, we have 10 hospitals, 70 physician offices, multiple care sites in Washington, Oregon, Alaska, and we also have a ministry in El Salvador. Through innovation, collaboration, and an unwavering commitment to that mission, today you've heard that PeaceHealth is a $2.4 billion healthcare system based here in Vancouver. We employ over 16,000 caregivers, 1,000 physicians, and about 25% of these caregivers, 4,000, are here in Vancouver. When I think about how we touch lives on a daily basis, more than 8,000 babies are delivered in a PeaceHealth facility throughout the United States. We perform more than 40,000 surgeries annually. Our emergency rooms treat 300,000 patients a year. But most importantly, over 1 million people are seen in our clinics or by our physicians every year. Here locally and Vancouver, PeaceHealth Southwest Medical Center is the only trauma center here in Clark County. We provide the most advanced care for cancer, cardiology, neurosciences, and even critical care for the tiniest newborns. You may have read last week in the Columbian about our music therapy program. It's the first of its kind in the West Coast. By introducing gentle singing and rhythm to our neonatal intensive care unit, we've seen remarkable improvements in feeding, sleeping, stabilizing the heart rate, and breathing of these tiny infants. Most of them are less than 4 pounds. Healthcare will continue to have more volatility, complexity, and ambiguity. We need to embrace these changes as a new normal. It's more important now than ever. As Americans get older, more doctors and nurses are needed. Recruitment is one of our top challenges, especially in our critical access communities like Florence, Oregon, Sedro-Woolley, Washington, and Ketchikan, Alaska. Reimbursements to hospitals and physicians have significantly decreased, even though now 90% of Americans have insurance, but cost and access is still a challenge. More importantly, prescription drug costs have increased by 25% in 2015. Last year, healthcare in America toppled $3 trillion. All of us in this room need to reimagine and reshape healthcare the way that it's accountable to individuals and families. Transforming the way people experience healthcare in the Northwest is the cornerstone of my vision. PeaceHealth will always be here to provide for your acute care needs, and we're developing new programs and forging new partnerships that will serve you better in this community, especially focusing on body, mind, and spirit. One example, in 2012, PeaceHealth in Ketchikan was just one of over 100 hospitals in the country to receive a 3-year, $3.2 million federal innovation award to develop an integrated model to care for the community. This program has been recognized as one of the best practices in the United States to manage chronic conditions, and we're spreading it throughout Oregon and Washington. We're also embarking on a partnership with Providence. Together, we're building one of the largest and most advanced health and wellness centers in the Northwest on Pattern Parkway here in Vancouver. This innovative center combines primary care, pediatric specialty, rehab, fitness, and a host of complementary services designed to improve the patient experience. I want you to envision this new patient experience. See up here Will and his daughter. Before he comes into his appointment for his diabetes checkup, Will's doctor will have received his daily fitness, blood sugar log levels via electronic transfer. After the appointment, he'll go to a cooking class to learn how to make his favorite dishes healthier. Here you'll see young mom Hannah. She will no longer need to drive to Portland for her son's pediatric cardiology visit. They can see the specialist. Then together, at our new Patton Parkway facility, she and her son can exercise in the therapy pool. I want to leave you with a call to action. PeaceHealth has a reputation. We create the miracles. We touch the lives of our community every day. I'm counting on all of you in this room to embrace your personal responsibility for your own health and wellness and help and join us in reimagining and reshaping healthcare in Clark County. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. So 2 takeaways I have so far. 125 years ago, we had the Colombian, PeaceHealth, Hudson's Bay Fur Trading Company, and I think Pat Schaefer. And other than that, there was nothing here. Second takeaway, unless you're the city of Ridgefield, who's well represented here today, regulatory environment. How do we keep up with the speed of industry? I think for all of our elected officials and policymakers out here, that's a huge issue that I hope you all consider and take back to your councils and respective communities. All right, so let's chat. And I'm going to sit back down here a little bit. So we talked about a little bit of the consumer experience and what's going on, but I know when I work out, I just want to sit there and I want to have the machines do the working out for me, and I want to get really fit. When I drive a car, I want to sit in the back seat and hang out on my iPad. And when I go to healthcare, I just want to sit in a tanning booth, have it scan me and fix me. So let's chat a little bit, and we'll do each panelist, maybe start with Bruce, but maybe a minute or so, and just tell me a little bit about, dig into those customer expectations. You know, what's a realistic expectation, and then what are those really company driving changes that you're seeing from consumers?
Well, I think one of the big things is for us is we want fitness to be attainable for everyone. Many people, you know, everybody's in a different part of their fitness journey, if you will, and health and wellness journey. And a big thing for us is to say, hey, you can do this. You don't have to go out and run a marathon or half marathon. You can start slow, you can, you know, but just keep progressing. So one of the things we try to do is show people in our commercials and in our digital forms, you know, what exactly some things, some success stories, and say, hey, no matter where you are, you can probably do what you want to try to do for whatever reason you're trying to do it. So that's a big thing for us, and it's worked out pretty well.
Liz.
You know, health in healthcare, especially in PeaceHealth, technology is making a huge difference. And so in some of our communities, we're using robots in our emergency rooms to bring care directly to the patient. And then we have physicians in Eugene, Oregon. What they're able to do is examine that patient with the use of a robot in a different area. And so it used to take in Friday Harbor, it used to take 3 hours for a patient to go into Bellingham or a 30-minute flight. With telemedicine, we'll be able to have patients to be treated in their community. So for us, it really is balancing the technology along with the human touch. I talked earlier about our NICU babies. That's pretty simple, music therapy. So for us, it's a combination of that technology as well as the human touch. And then lastly, we're investing $300 million over the next 2 years to implement an electronic medical record. It was a great go live, our first facility here in Southwest Washington. And what that is going to do for us is help individuals, and we call it the My PeaceHealth chart. You will have access to real-time lab results. You'll be able to email your physicians. You'll be able to make appointments online. And that is the thought for us to bring care closer to the community and have the integration by individuals.
Great.
Great. Well, I would say that what our consumers are often asking for is, kind of an elegant combination between high tech and high touch. They want the person they're dealing with in the dealership to know as much about the car as they do, and that's, they've done a lot of homework, so that can be tough. They want to learn about the technology, and then if they can't figure out how to do something a week later, then they want someone responsive at the dealership or something online that tells them how to figure this out. So, and I would say mostly they want it fast, they want it fair, and they want a transparent process. And dealers that deliver that are going to grow, and those that don't are part of the past.
Scott, any thoughts on that discussion before we move forward?
Well, just thinking about healthcare and technology, I mean, the advancements are amazing. And you quoted the $3 trillion. We spend twice as much per person on healthcare in this country as any other industrialized country. And by all the public health metrics, we're not doing as well. So it's not the technology and the delivery so much as the system and how it's supported. That leaves a lot of challenges ahead.
Thank you. All right, let's go back to Greg here, and we're going to ask individual questions here in the next round. So GM recently announced a partnership with Lyft, and you talked about technology, electric cars, some of the other automated driving, but let's talk about ride sharing for a second. I know, except for Max in our office, who's an old soul, the idea of having a strong engine, this muscle car, the power and the performance of a car, it's becoming more of a tablet or an iPad. No, sorry, wrong question. So I think the ownership, though, coming back to that, though, the ownership of a car, how do you see that changing, and what does this mean as far as car ownership going forward?
Well, I think it's, there are a lot of people that don't care about owning a car. A lot of people lease. A lot of people just want to use it, the way that Zipcar makes it available, where you can, rent it by the hour. I saw a sign in Portland the other day for something that I think is going to happen quickly, and that is eSurance, where you can pay for insurance by the mile. I think that's remarkable. Ride sharing is going to be an important component of the business. I think it appeals to certain demographics. One of the things that we think is as people start a household, start a family, et cetera, more traditional models of ownership might apply. But I think the industry that gets sold through dealerships in the future will shrink. We're going to have fewer dealers in the country. I was at a meeting in Detroit last month where an executive at one of the domestic automakers said, we're planning a SAR, around a SAR, of about 9 million in the future. And no one knows how far out in the future that is. SAR is the seasonally adjusted annual rate of sales in the industry. Last year, we hit an all-time high of 17.5 million. Some of the analysts think we'll top out at about 20. I think 18, somewhere 19 maybe. It's hard for me to see a future with 20. And then I think it'll start to shrink because ride sharing is going to become a very important thing and Lyft and Uber will become very important in the city. We've got increasing urbanization. Our company has focused on growing in the past few years because in order to be around, you have to be one of the big players and not one of the small ones. I think it's going to be hard to be a sole proprietor or a onesie-twosie kind of operation in the future.
Great comments. Bruce, let's turn to you. So appreciated the opportunity to be at the retail store opening in Columbia Tech Center. Make sure you guys check that out if you haven't. Amazing products. And beyond the products, how about that experience? I mean, one of the comments that was made at that retail opening is, how cool would it be to be an employee at Nautilus? So tell me a little bit about what it's like to be an employee at Nautilus, and then what are those changing expectations for employees that you're seeing within the company?
Well, I think one of the big things is we do have communication is a big deal for us. And we have a lot of activities that involve a team, kind of everything from kickball. Halloween at our company is just like nothing you've ever seen before. The whole building's shut down, and we have like 250 kids come through that get toured, and the departments compete with themes, and it's just unbelievable what happens for Halloween. But it's a lot of that kind of stuff, what I would call teamwork, supporting each other, and so forth. But we have a lot of fun. There's no question about that, and that's appealing, I think, to a lot of people these days, and it always has been. But I think the other part about it is letting the ability for people to bring ideas forward that we will give a shot to. I spoke to about 10 new employees earlier this week that we were just welcoming as part of our Nautilus 101, and welcoming them. They're all coming from different backgrounds and different companies. And my message to them was basically, hey, you all have experiences. You've seen in other companies what works and what doesn't. If you think, when you get here after 3 months, you think there's something we could be doing better, then bring it forward. We have big ears, as I would say, and we'll try things. So that's the kind of thing that we try to encourage, that foster, that willingness and take initiative to bring ideas forward. So I think that's kind of how I would characterize. Our lab, what we call our lab, is our store, and the idea is we want to learn there. So people come in and shop, and we'll be talking to them and seeing what they're looking for, what their needs are going to be, and see if we can address that with product going forward. So that's a little bit about, I guess, I would culture.
Great. Thank you. So Liz, you talked about the increasing opportunity for patients to get access to care, and that's, as a client and a consumer, that's good stuff. How about the impact on doctors? So we talk about video streaming or the ability to email your doctor when you have questions, and this doesn't happen in our family at all, but maybe there was somebody who stalks a doctor with email or something like that. So what do you see the impact on the ability to access your physician more readily and in remote areas?
As I stated earlier, with the shortage of primary care physicians, we've seen a 15% increase in our emergency room visits in the Northwest, but especially here in Vancouver. So what we've done in partnership with our physicians, we've done expanded urgent care, expanded same-day visit appointments for patients. And to stay competitive, I'm glad that Scott had said that what are we really doing? We are looking at a model where we include our clinically integrated networks, our physicians and our nurses. They look at best practices, and we spread those across our ministries, not only on the clinical arena, but also on supply chain, and our physicians are collaborating in different types of technologies that we can sort of do together. And this access to care when patients need it, where they need it, is very important for us for the future.
Excellent. All right, we got a few minutes left here. I've got one question kind of as we've gone through this here. So both with your company and what we've talked about today, we've got international, national, regional, big companies here. Let's talk geography. So in this face of this new normal, what does it mean to be in Vancouver in Clark County? Is that an advantage or a disadvantage for you, do you see, going forward? Let's start with Greg.
Well, absolute advantage. No secret that we moved our headquarters from Portland to Vancouver in 2003. A lot of it had, the reason had to do with tax, and it wasn't avoiding Oregon tax as much as it was, the foundation was going to own a significant part of the company. It's a shareholder. It pays a lot of Oregon tax today, but its situation in Washington reduces overall tax. The inefficiency with Oregon was that we're an S-corp, and all of our earnings that were produced outside the state of Oregon, when we were located in Oregon, we had to pay the difference between that state tax and the higher tax rate in Oregon. So saved a lot of money for the foundation and a number of the shareholders, including my wife and I. And so Vancouver has been an advantage in that regard. In terms of the business environment, the airport, which is the best airport in the world, in my opinion, It's, it's convenient. We have great access to great employees who love living in the Northwest. Obviously, a lot of people grow up and want to come back and raise their families here. And like Bruce, I'm a transplant, but my wife and I consider this home, and we never want to live anyplace else. So it's a great place to be.
Great. Bruce?
We love it here as a company and personally. Like I said earlier, I lived a lot of places. I moved from Indiana, so you can think about that's like the gastronomic wasteland of the country. And so you come here, and I was there 10 years, and I come here, and it's like wineries and food and everything. And I'll be honest with you, when we couldn't find some of the talent that we needed in certain areas, in some finance and engineering, we bring in people from all over the country. Some of the search firms we dealt with said, "Oh, you'll never get anybody to move to the Northwest." I said, "You got to be kidding me. I mean, this is like, this is great, So we're bringing in people all over the place, as we need, from Philadelphia, from Tennessee, all over the country, and they're loving it here. And I think a big thing, I'd add exactly to what Greg was saying in terms of the airport is great and everything. I love talking about our airport everywhere I go. But the other thing that we shouldn't take lightly is the strength of the schools in this area. That's a big, I will tell you, we have people coming in from all over the country, the Midwest and stuff, and they say, the first thing they say is, man, the schools are awesome compared to what they had, where they were. And that's a real tribute to us. It's a lot of work, but it's also a draw. It allows us to recruit the folks that we need. So.
Thank you. And I'm going to insert one of the questions from the audience. And thank you. There's excellent questions we've got up here. So as you answer this question, let's make sure we include what are the impediments to growth that you see as a company in Clark County, and maybe if the other two have ideas on that, we can share it as well.
For me, I don't see any impediments to growth. I mean, I think I can go along with the colleagues here that we see as an advantage to be here in Clark County. The strong community here that supports innovation. In November, we were able to open Vancouver's first state-of-the-art brain and stroke center with tremendous support from our donors like Tom and Sandra Young. When we look at recruitment for professionals, nurses, physicians, just like what we had said earlier, the strength of the schools, the strength of the healthcare system. We have amazing physicians. We have doctors that other doctors send their family to in PeaceHealth. We've been able to attract system leaders with global reputations, like Victoria King, our system chief nursing officer. Dr. Mark Adams will be joining us later this month, and he was just named as a chief medical officer of the year by the Seattle Business Magazine. So the strong support from the community, the unbelievable access to services here for our professionals, we don't see any impediments to growth.
Excellent. Any other comments on that?
Just quickly, I'd say that Kuni wants to be the company that brings luxury car dealerships to Vancouver, so we need more growth. That's the only impediment I see. And I know there are a lot of great people, including the Dick Hanna Group, that would have something to say about that, but we love to bring luxury car dealerships. We argue for it all the time.
We'd love to have that as well. Let's
Thank
talk.
you.
All right. So we're going to go Q&A, and I'm just going to say, pick it up if anybody wants to answer. Let's just do this freestyle here. So housing, affordable housing has been a big topic in the media as of late. So let's talk about any impact that affordable housing challenges have had on your company, and what do you see as good solutions potentially for the future?
Well, I'll start. I think housing, we do correlate somewhat with housing, we've found in the past in terms of housing starts and turnover of existing homes. And right now, actually, it's a pretty good environment for those kinds of things. So we're pretty happy with that. I think this area in particular, there's a lot of activity going on. I'm hopeful to move into a new home that we're building in 2 months, if everything goes well, I would say that there's still going to be, there's always issues in terms of, a housing bubble possibility. I know Canada's going through that right now in a big way, and it's affecting their economy along with other things. But, right now I see, that it still should be steady as she goes as long as mortgage rates don't get crazy. That's my perspective.
I'd just say that I think, given the markets that we operate in, we have a we have an Audi dealership in Palo Alto, California. So I guess that makes me something of an expert on affordable real estate, or unaffordable. But you know, we love Vancouver because the schools, as was mentioned, and I think the housing is a good match for the wages that we pay in our company, and so I think that it is really a great combination, and we need more of that. But nothing is more exciting than seeing a young person in our company, you know, come in and say, "I just bought my first house." I mean, that is that's got to be a high point for any CEO and business owner, and I've seen that a lot here.
The housing issue primarily is around rental housing right now. I mean, it also is very tough to, well, I live in Portland, and let me tell you, the housing market there's so few homes on the market and so many people coming in with cash. It's crazy trying to buy a new home. And we're seeing massive gentrification in Portland. People of color who traditionally have lived in Northeast are being displaced out towards Gresham. It's tearing communities apart. And over here, we've had significant increases in rents. One of the benchmark measures is you're considered housing distressed if you're paying more than a third of your income to housing costs. And that's true for half of our tenants. And that's more than a third of the households. So half of that third is in housing distress. You look at a lot of other indicators in terms of number of kids in our schools who qualify for free and reduced cost lunch meals. You look at share house and who's coming to because they need food. You look at our tax system, which I've got some of my current and former econ students here. We have the most regressive tax system in the country, in the state of Washington. So there's issues there.
Thanks for that exciting, uplifting comment. Appreciate that.
I can only do Pollyanna so long, Mike.
Good cop, bad cop. That's how we roll. So one change that maybe isn't new, but certainly has been anticipated for a while now, is the impact of telecommuting, opportunities for employees to work from home or maybe now work from their car and just drive around all day. So talk to me about telecommuting. Has that had an impact on your companies, and to what extent do you see that having an impact in the future?
It hasn't impacted us yet, Mike, a whole lot. It's coming fast, I think, particularly for our folks that are on the customer care, customer support on the phones, or direct selling. We think that there's no reason why folks can't work from home and so forth like that, and be just as capable as they are sitting in our offices. So I'd say that's one of the things that's coming that we have to deal with and so forth. I know that it's probably a bigger factor for other companies, so we're watching that to see if we can learn with the appropriate way of stepping into that. But today, it hasn't affected us yet.
Liz, Greg?
Not really.
Well, for us in two ways. I think for our consumers and our patients, the whole concept of telemedicine, that the physicians can stay in their office, can be in their clinics, and have that sort of interaction with patients without having to leave their office and other geographic areas. As far as our employee population, the area that we've incorporated telecommuting is in coding and billing, so we can see that can be done remotely with a cadre of people. So that's where we encourage the sort of telecommuting. But our healthcare is really about a personal touch, and for us, it is that relationship and that engagement with our patients. So that is, people self-select themselves to go into healthcare. And that's why I'm so proud to be part of healthcare, is because when you self-select yourself to work in community, to have that one-to-one with individuals. So for us, it's more about being in community, being with our patients, being with all that we can do with individuals and families.
Excellent. So this one's just for Greg. So reduction of taxes, tariffs on imported autos. So do you see an increase coming in imported autos as a reduction of the $850 per auto? How does that affect domestic production? And then also, associated, how does the drop in oil price affect the sales of hybrid cars?
Well, with respect to reduction of import taxes, you know, the automobile business today is an international business. There are Japanese branded vehicles built in this country that have as much domestic content as a General Motors car. And, you know, so the supplier base, you know, the assembly plants, et cetera, they're all over the world. BMWs, we sell BMW in Portland, and they're, I think we have vehicles coming from 6 different countries, and a lot of the SUVs come from South Carolina. So, you know, domestic automakers today are in a position to compete internationally, and they're doing a good job. And I'm confident that all 3 are, of course, Chrysler is foreign-owned, really, but I'm confident that all 3 are going to thrive, given, you know, what we see coming with respect to product. With respect to hybrids, $2 gas is bad for hybrids. You know, we really do have a serious challenge in the next 10 years. The fuel economy standards for 2025 are 54.5 miles per gallon average in the fleet. And there will be onerous penalties on any manufacturer that doesn't hit that target. No one wants to buy a car today that, well, it would be hard to buy a car that gets 54.5 miles per gallon, obviously, but, you know, the move to hybrid vehicles, the move to more efficient vehicles is slowed by $2 oil, or $2 gas. And so I think, you know, it's going to have a severe effect. It is right now. The targets that the administration set for electric vehicles, you know, we're about 40–50% short of those at this time. And, you know, frankly, I would be an advocate for, just as my predecessor was, Wayne Kuni, for a gasoline tax. You know, that's a more efficient way to move people into more efficient vehicles than the CAFE requirements that create all kinds of perverse incentives.
Excellent. Good comments. So the next question is about diversity. So talking about the advantages and some of the challenges and how your company is approaching diversity. And the comment here is we live in a white bubble. I prefer to say we are very diverse in our northern European country representation in Clark County. But either way you look at it, tell us about diversity, how it impacts your company, how it's an advantage maybe to your company, and what are those challenges?
Well, for us, it's always something that is top of mind. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I would say there is a little bit different profile here than you find in other parts of the country, but it's something that you just have to be mindful of and do your best to keep that diversity in the organization. So I don't know that we have a formula or something or a cookbook to how to do that, but it's just a top of mind kind of topic for us.
Liz, agree?
It's a very important topic for us. We want to look like and be representative of our communities wherever we are. With respect to women in our business, we have a lot of senior executives in our company. One of my business partners is a young woman who manages our Audi store in Boulder. Most of our GMs have equity in their dealerships, by the way, which is another distinguishing feature of Kuni's ownership. We have a gentleman, African-American gentleman, who's a partner in a Land Rover dealership in Denver, Hispanic gentleman who's a partner in a Land Rover dealership in San Diego. So we've worked hard, but the fact is, you know, these were highly qualified people that we were able to recruit and came to Kuni, and they're doing a wonderful job. We've got, you know, this is something we track, and the percentage with respect to diversity in our company has increased every year since we've been looking at it, and we're making a lot of progress. We found locally that we can access talent as well that is diverse and highly qualified.
Yeah, and we are really fortunate too because of our medical staff, and you know, medicine is something that we really look at, who is best qualified for those positions, and we're seeing, you know, in all of our communities. It's really not, if you look at some of our critical access communities, the physicians there are not generally typically what the profile of that community. So we're seeing individuals from different backgrounds within all of our communities.
Quick shout out to Angel from Leadership Clark County. They're up in Olympia yesterday. They did great work on helping to promote and help the community understand diversity as well too. So thank you to Leadership Clark County. So let's talk about hiring military for a second. And shout out to Bob Knight. I saw you come in there. what's the best way, you know, there's an increasing number of military folks coming on as potential employees. You know, how is that impacting your company, and what's the best way to help get those folks hired and working?
Well, I'll start. Can everybody hear me okay? Is it okay? Okay. It's something that we definitely are supporting. I mean, my daughter's in the Air Force. I was explaining that to Liz earlier. And the talent and the experience and the leadership skills that you get as being in any of the armed services, whether you're deployed or not, is really valuable. And we're not the only company I know that's doing that. Many of the Fortune 500 companies look for military experience and so forth. So we find it only to be a bonus if we can do that. I wouldn't say that we go out specifically looking for veterans or people that are actively involved in reserves, et cetera. But if all the other needs are there in terms of what we're looking for culturally, talent-wise, et cetera, and then you have that experience, then that's a real help. We feel that's kind of a bonus.
Okay, I got one question here to wrap up from the audience, and thank you again, amazing questions, and I apologize we couldn't get to all of them here. So let's talk about increased costs in healthcare services and just the changes overall in the regulatory environment. How are you able to adapt and create efficient and affordable healthcare with these changes?
You know, as I said earlier, 90% of Americans now have health care insurance, and especially here in the Vancouver area, what we're doing is looking at our relationship with our medical group and our acute care services, that we can look at partnerships with our employees and with our individuals. We have 16,000 employees. We're self-insured. We've been able to take our employee population and help them with navigation of healthcare coaches. We've been able to dramatically, over the last 3 years, reduce our own healthcare costs for our own employee population. We're using that knowledge and that skill to help other employers look at their population and helping them reduce their costs for their employees.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to ask Scott Bailey to close us out with some great words of wisdom here. And also, while he's doing that, I'm going to ask Scott Campbell to come back up on stage. Scott, final thoughts, take away.
Well, Kelly Love wanted me to tell you that oil is now cheaper than milk. So tomorrow morning when you have your cereal, be sure and put some 1040 on it to save costs, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting year. Like I say, I think Clark County will have a good year. It's going to be interesting, all joking aside, to see how China continues to work its way through its economic issues. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with oil prices. We could be in for an interesting ride there. Here's an obscure thing. There's this, it's called the Baltic Shipping Index, which tracks the activity of those big cargo tankers that move everything around. It's at an all-time low right now, even lower than back in 2008. And that's China. But the one piece that is working well is oil tankers. They're being used to store oil. The oil is still being pumped. It's just not going to the refinery. So the storage facilities for oil are slowly filling up. And when that happens, it could be interesting to see what happens to oil prices going forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for our great panelists here today. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Scott Campbell.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Great job on running the panel, and the panel people did a great job listening. You got it from the horse's mouth from three very, very important companies to our local economy. Imagine if any one of these companies were to disappear, what a loss that would be, and what a great day it would be if Mike Bomar were able to recruit additional companies with that kind of a character and that kind of an economic impact. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So we are close to being on time. Want to say a few additional things before we move on to our breakout sessions. and focus a little bit on our other supporting sponsors. So every year we encourage the high school and college students to attend this event. Berger ABAM is the sponsor of the student participation part of the program, and today 50 students were given complimentary seats. Students, would you stand up, please, so we can see where you are? And excellent. So we expect to see you in this crowd and up here in 10 years. More about Berger ABAM. Founded in 1951 in Federal Way, Washington, Berger ABAM is a consulting firm in the areas of planning, civil and structural engineering, environmental services, public involvement, construction management, surveying, and underwater inspection services. They're part of a global group with offices throughout the U.S. and 50 countries. Regionally, they have offices in Seattle, Federal Way, Portland, and here in Vancouver, where Helen Devery leads a talented team of professionals. They do a lot of work locally here in the Vancouver and Portland area as well. Helen, thank you for supporting additional opportunities such as this one so these students can prepare for the future. Helen, would you stand for a second so we can recognize you? Thank you. Next, 20 locally based experts in business and economic issues will be breaking into 4 subject-specific panel discussions. So that's 4 breakout sessions, 4 moderators, 16 panelists in this breakout session. The management group, as you can see their logo on the screen over here, TMG, is the sponsor of the breakout portion of today's event. They have been a strong supporter since 2007. This year, the management group is celebrating its 30 years in business as a leader in the property management industry. The company was founded in December of 1985 by President Carmen Villarma and is a full-service real estate management company. With a staff of 110, TMG provides property management, sales, and maintenance services for apartments, homes, and community associations in Oregon and Washington. TMG's corporate headquarters is located in Vancouver with branch offices in Portland, Oregon, and Kennewick, Washington. That's a mom-and-pop operation if I ever heard of one. Thank you, Carmen. Would you stand? Congratulations on your 30 years. So the 4 breakout sessions, and this is covered in your newspaper section on page 2, are panel number 1, building on downtown and an export economy, panel 2, growing a business and leading change, panel 3, thriving in large markets, and panel 4, building for Clark County's future. So pick your favorite topic and go attend in person. It should be an engaging part of this forecast breakfast. New this year for video recording of the sessions, and the video component is an excellent way to extend your take-home value for this event this morning. But PeaceHealth is a sponsor of the video recording, and as Liz mentioned, PeaceHealth for 125 years has been a leader in promoting personal and community health throughout the Pacific Northwest. PeaceHealth is Clark County's largest employer with more than 4,000 caregivers, urgent care labs, medical offices, home care, hospice, and system headquarters in East Vancouver. It's a $2.4 billion health system serving Washington, Oregon, and Alaska. PeaceHealth continues to build on its legacy of finding innovative health solutions to meet the needs of the community. So these video recordings, once again, will be on Columbian.com within 48 hours. And available for your review and use. Liz, just could I get you to stand up for one additional second so we can thank you for your sponsorship role? It's That's it for this part of the program. Thank you for taking the time to come this morning, and look forward to seeing you in the breakout sessions. Thank you.